Hi everybody, good evening. Welcome to PitchIt Durham. My name is Lindsay Jeremiah. I'm the Entrepreneurship Coordinator here at Durham College. And I run the FastStart program, which is this amazing program we offer for free to Durham College students where they can start a business. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the PitchIt Durham event. Very happy to be partnered on this event with OPG's X-Lab, Jason White, as well as Open People Network's Jeffrey Potvin over here. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. And to welcome you to the evening, I'd love to introduce our president, Don Leviza. So please join me in welcoming Don.
So good afternoon, and Lindsay said everything I was going to say, but it is really cool that we're partnering with OP and OPG X-Lab. The X-Lab, what an amazing facility that is. A lot of fun, lots of toys to play with in there. So I just want to say welcome to Durham College. We're really thrilled to host this event. And I just want to tell you about this classroom that you're in. This is called our Global Classroom. It's a project that's taken us 5 years to get where we are today. We have a professor named Lon Appleby who had this idea. How can our students at Durham College speak to students around the world about real issues that affect all of us globally? Global warming, racism, all the various topics. And so every week we have 54 institutions around the world that we partner with. And in real time, we can get up to 8 institutions on here on a topic that they've prepared for, our students prepared for, and our students get a different worldview in these discussions. It's a phenomenal and powerful tool to help our students understand an international perspective. So welcome to the Global Classroom. Welcome to Durham College. Good night, have a good night, and good luck to all of our pitchers tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, Jeffrey Potvin. You're up, buddy.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. How you guys doing? Hey, some of you guys can come sit up here. I won't spray. I won't spit. Trust me, we're good. But if you guys want to, come sit up here for sure. Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you very much for coming out tonight. We're excited to be back in Durham and running an event where we get to see a lot of startups from the Durham region, which is always exciting and the best part of being in a region that we get to run an event with. And we're very excited that we got to partner with Jason at OPG. And of course, Lindsay and Don and the team at Durham College. It's been a great experience, and we can't say anything better. These guys are awesome, so it's been a lot of fun. So if you're a new startup and you're thinking about doing something great, I recommend Durham College. They got a great program, and they're doing a lot of great things in the community, so welcome. So today is our 42nd event. We've been running them for just close to 3 years now, and today we got a real packed agenda. We have 6 companies that are going to be pitching, and 2 keynotes. And the great thing is that these guys are very community-based keynotes, which is great because we like everybody that works in the region and supports the region of Durham. So if you guys are watching, you're relaxed, you feel like you need to social, tweet, send out some Instagrams. We love it. The support's always great. Helps us push out what we're doing, which is helping you guys get FaceTime in front of your next client. So please feel free to add us or send out any great information. If you're a startup, we implore you to please join the Slack group. We have a great Slack group where you can chat and pitch anything that's going on. And there's lots of people that'll jump in and respond and answer to that, especially if you're looking for resources or you need some help. It's a great spot to chat. Y-Space and all the different places that we work with are all part of it. We'll skip the stand-up part because we got to get going. We got time. We don't have a lot of time. So at OPN, we want you to spend less time trying to find money and more time growing your business. And this is why we create these events, so you get more face time in front of the people that are going to help you. Over the better part of the last 3 years, we've run a lot of different events, a lot of cool events. We've got some up-and-coming new events where we're going to do a closed pitch event with the City Hall. Our flagship is City Hall, where we do have 300 to 500 people that come, 30 showcase, and a panel. It's a really great program, and we're just kind of trying to take it to the next level, if you will, to help those startups get in front of investors quicker. Here are some of the, I guess, close to 150, 200 companies that have pitched at our events. You might recognize some of these companies. They're all great, and we're going to have to probably go to 2 slides sooner. They're going to get really small. Some of the up and coming dates to look for, and if you're interested at pitching at them, our next event is at Seneca College on April 23rd. We do run 6 to 8 pitches at that event because they're 3 to 5 early stage startup pitches, and there will be probably 3 to 4 advisors that would be there to provide feedback as well, just as we do at all of our events. The closed pitch event is on the 24th, and then our next major event is at City Hall on May 8th. And you can find all of this on opn.ninja. We got to thank all of our sponsors that have helped get us this far. So we look to and thank Bateman McKay, which is our accounting firm that's come on to help us and help the startups that are part of the business. One Core Media, which is a marketing strategy. Global Payments, they're the back end for a lot of the e-commerce platforms that we work with. System Bind, they do all of the hosting. Flow Water is a company that we invest in, but they also have invested by providing us with their product at every event since day one. Miller Thompson, legal firm that supports all of the startups as well. My software company, Hardboot, where we support and build out platforms for startups and enterprise. And of course, the 2 biggest sponsors for today and the 2 people that we're proud and happy to be working with, the X-Labs, which is Jason, and Lindsay from FastStart at Durham College, who just spoke to you guys. Thank you, guys. Always this part. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jeffrey Potvin. I have been operating and running OPN for the better part of 3 years. I work teaching at Seneca College on the entrepreneur side, angel investor, with, I don't know, there's lots of stuff online. You guys can check me out. We can skip this part. But we do a lot of great things at OPN, and we hope you guys have been to a show or 2, and you can keep supporting the startups, because really it's about them. So thank you, guys. And of course, oh, thank you. And of course, the team, without a doubt, we got to thank Laura. Where's Laura? Oh, she's in the back over there. It's also Laura's birthday, so let's all say happy birthday. Woo! Katrina, she's sick today. She couldn't unfortunately make it. And Brian, who is on the video at the back. You're a rock star, Brian. And Mr. Michael Sims on the DJ. Thank you very much, guys. And everybody else that has helped us today, thank you, guys. Thank you. So, we always like to have a little bit of fun. How many guys like TFC? What? What's up with that? Boo, we only have one soccer team, man. All right, good, that's good. There was a woo, all right. Well, we have a draw today to win tickets to Friday's game, TFC game. So, if you guys are interested in that, if you don't go, I'm going. So, make sure you enter the draw. That's really the end of that one. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to post them, ask them during the event, but you can also do this when you tweet at the Open People Network or hashtag PitchItTO, and we'll get to those questions and we'll help you guys out. So, why we're here today, how it works, the pitch format. There are some companies that are early stage, so we will be doing a 3 to 5 minute pitch, and everybody else will be fitting into a 7 to 9 minute pitch. The reason why we share this is because we do try to keep everything in line with the time. So at the end of the 5 minutes or the end of the 7 minutes, or sorry, 9 minutes, we actually cut them off so that you can go forward and start getting into the questions and answer. Just like an elevator pitch, when you have a certain amount of time, you got to deliver that certain amount of information. The advisors, there are 5 of them today. We've changed the format around to help the startups, so we will pick 3 of the 5. So when I ask who wants to provide information, it'll be just like in school. Get to put your hand up, first 3 hands get to jump in, and they will give the response. They will have 1 minute each to provide feedback to the startup. The startup will nod and say thank you for your amazing feedback, right? Yes. And then from there, we'll do 3 to 5 minutes with the crowd, asking questions so you guys can be part of this as well, since you might be the ones that will be buying into their product. What the advisors will be providing back to the startup is that they all have a sheet of paper. Inside of this sheet of paper, there's a couple of questions, which are, what are they good at? What can they improve on? And then one of the things that actually just turns this right around for all the startups is that they're going to provide one contact that they think can help you. And that might be anything from a new lead to anything, really. You dream it up. These guys are going to be awesome and help out with that. Right, guys? Yeah, I love it. And again, this is to help you guys. It's all about helping the startup to figure out how they can find clients and move on. So from that, we have our panel of advisors. So we'll start with Jason from X-Lab. He is working, generating, and helping the Durham region build out anything around startups, which is amazing. So Jason, thank you for that. You're a good man. Kim Capetti, CPA in the Durham region, entrepreneur for a very long time, which is amazing, and she's also an angel investor at Spark. So thank you for coming. It's awesome to have you on board. Chris Nikiforik, he's also an entrepreneur, lawyer in the Durham region, and works with a lot of startups, and also provides his time back into the community, but also works quite heavily as a Spark angel investor. And then we have Terry Austin, Senior Manager, Innovation Advanced Technology at GM Canada, who has spent a lot of time on the GM side, and does work a lot inside of startup world as well, helping with startups. So thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate that too. And Angelo. I think I've introduced you a few times. Angelo Del Duca is an angel investor, Angel of the Year, works at multiple different regions for angel investment, from Maple Leaf to York, part of screening committees. Great guy, likes long walks on the beach, and he certainly does dig into helping a lot of startups, so we appreciate you as well. Thank you for coming, and thank you guys, round for all of you guys for being here. So the 6 companies that are going to be pitching today: InStage, Seat Giant, Tip Tap Pay, Brainwave, 3Hive, and Analog Motion. Let's hear it for these guys. So the first one up to be pitching, InStage. Let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it.
Check, check, Czech Republic. Beauty. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Imran Muna. I'm one of the co-founders of InStage. What we're trying to do is change the way people practice for presentations and interviews using virtual reality and artificial intelligence. Now, today when we see people practicing for these kind of events just like this one, we typically see them pacing the halls, trying to memorize scripts, or practicing in their head or the mirror. And unfortunately, you can't get the kind of feedback or experience you need to make a measurable improvement practicing like this. But with InStage, we can create these types of interactions in ultra-realistic simulations so you can make mistakes and learn from them in a safe place. And when you're done, we're able to give you a detailed feedback report with metrics like what percentage of the time you made eye contact with people, and even how many filler words like you used. Now, I think that the problem we're addressing is best described by Jerry Seinfeld, who famously said that at a funeral, most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy, which of course means that people would rather be dead than public speaking. And that seems to be as true now as ever, because according to a 2018 Forbes study that interviewed over 60,000 managers, almost 50% of them felt that new graduates lack the communication skills they need to be successful in the workforce, which amounts to an almost $4 billion problem in Canada alone. But it's much worse on a global scale, because these same companies spend roughly $25 billion investing in their own employees to help them develop their communication skills, public speaking as a major one of those. Which means that this is a problem not only for their existing workforce, but for their current workforce. Thankfully, in a related Forbes article, we're seeing projections that virtual reality will begin to account for $2 billion of that spending. And that's only the beginning. Because again, it's not that people don't want to improve their ability to speak and communicate. They very much do. The problem is that they can't find a realistic way to practice. Practicing in front of the mirror and pacing the halls just doesn't feel like the real thing. It doesn't feel how I feel right now. And if you don't believe me, ask any of the other speakers who will be up here tonight. The other thing is that if I'm lucky enough to find friends who are willing to listen to me practice, it's unlikely they'll tell you what you really need to hear, because they won't want to hurt your feelings. I mean, unless you do have friends like mine who go out of their way to do that kind of thing. But I like to say that with InStage, when you put on our headset, you'll forget where you are, and instead feel like you're standing in front of a live audience. One you can use to help brace yourself for the emotional and physical and mental toll it takes to actually stand in front of a room of strangers. And when you're done, you'll get the feedback you need to measure your progress. Now today, we primarily operate in a business-to-business capacity by bringing all the required hardware on location, cycling users through over the course of a 1 or 2 day workshop, and then providing their analytics to them in real time. We've also had a lot of success recently with our SaaS model, where we rent out our equipment on a long-term basis. This includes access to our standard content library, but can also include customized simulations that can be added on for an additional fee. And this puts us far ahead of our competition, because these are companies that struggle to provide a realistic way to practice and an objective way to give feedback. But what we've done, I think, is do more than simply find a way to compete with them. For instance, when it comes to our traditional competitors like speech coaches, who provide incredibly valuable content, but struggle to give their users a way to practice it, we can complement what they do. That being said, we see that the virtual reality industry will hit critical mass in 2022. And by that point, we'll be operating in InStage's final form as an online platform that can be used by people looking to practice for presentations, as well as those looking to create tools for people who are practicing by accessing our online platform anywhere, anytime. Now in 2018, in our first year of running paid pilots, we generated over $50,000 in revenue. And this year in Q1 of 2019, we've already secured commitments for over $100,000, and we're projecting $1 million in revenue this year. Over the past 2 years, we've worked with everyone from high school students to Fortune 500 executives. Most recently, we won first place in Amazon's education and training simulation competition. Our work's been featured on CBC Radio's Metro Morning, and we're doing negotiations with the Department of National Defense to integrate our technology into their Road to Mental Readiness program, as it's becoming more and more apparent that not only people but soldiers need to be both physically and mentally prepared for the toll of being in combat. Our core team is made up of 3 members. Nicole McLean is a former corporate trainer with over 10 years of experience at Scotiabank. Michael Cayley is an entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience building businesses. Most recently, he was the former CEO of a Calgary-based company where he oversaw 200 employees. And I'm a graduate of the engineering program at Queen's University with a background in software application design. We have an incredibly strong mentorship team, being part of the IBM i3 program, as well as being associated with a number of campus accelerators that we've begun working with. Today, what we're looking for is $200,000 in the form of corporate sponsorship that we can distribute to 4 innovative schools that are looking to match that contribution over the next 2 years. And we're looking to get this from companies that are willing to invest in their future workforce. Because the way we see it, public speaking has stopped too many people from doing too many things for too long. But we've never had a better chance to change that. So thank you for your time, and I hope you can help.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Good job. All right, who wants to step up? Which 3? Okay, yeah, you can start.
Is this on? Yeah, great. I liked it a lot because I think that when you look at your total addressable market, you essentially are talking to every human on the planet. So I agree. I think from your empathy and customer focus point of view, you really have something that has a lot of appeal and addresses a big pain point for most people. The second thing is I think there's a need too. So the first obviously is that there's a lot of need at the personal level, but also when we hire new people, they may be very equipped with the technical skills, fluid dynamics, thermo, blah, blah, but they miss soft skills. And so I think this, again, addresses a big customer need. So I like that very much. I guess one question for you is you said that you were going to be using artificial intelligence. I can't see how you're doing that. So can you tell me a little bit more about what data you're going to use to train your algorithm and how you're going to get an algorithm to tell you that you are either a good or a poor presenter?
We can get that one offline.
Offline?
Yeah.
Okay. And then secondly, from an AI point of view, IP. So do you have any intellectual property filed for this? What moats have you built around your idea? What prevents everybody in this room doing and copying you and beating you to the punch. So want to know what kinds of things that you have protected or put around your company to protect it. But otherwise, I think I'm impressed. I think it's a very good idea.
Perfect. Jason, you're up.
Well, you pretty much stole my ID. So great. First of all, great pitch. Great. You're a great speaker. I love the humor. The humor is always an advantage, and it's a great tool to use when we pitch. And I love the application of the VR in these social situations and training situations. I think, in general, the environment in teaching is limitless. So from a customer market standpoint, I think you've got a great opportunity. I was going to ask something very similar, and what makes you different than anyone else that's in the VR space, training space, because many people are getting into this space, and it's actually very easy to get into this space. And that's where the AI piece is something that I'm very interested in, and how you're applying that. And maybe perhaps that's the question I'll ask, is the application of it. I'm not sure. I don't go into the IP. I'm sure that's okay, but I'm very, very curious. What makes you different?
To the end? Perfect.
So my background is financial, so the concept is amazing. However, I just have one comment. It's more, to me, would seem that it would appeal to millennials. I think you might have a harder sell with older employees, whether they would adopt that sort of training. The other issue is, I'm just curious how you think you could go from 100K in 1 year to $1 million, because that seems like a hard stretch, depending on where you're going. So those are my comments.
Okay, perfect. That was good. Thank you. All right, who has questions from the audience? Okay, I'm going to hustle the mic over there. Just give me a second.
Check.
I didn't hear anything about the cost of the product or how much you're planning to rent it for.
Sure. So to address that, we charge a daily rate of $2,500, and that can run anywhere between 50 and 100 employees through over the course of a day. The rental rate is $5,000 a month, and the annual rate we're charging is $45,000 to have this on location for a year.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
Happy to speak to some of the... okay.
The public sector seems to be tight on cash, so how would they get funding to support this?
It is an interesting question, and one we've struggled with. That's why we're looking to corporate sponsorship to try and fill that gap. We see that this is something worth investing in. At this time, it is difficult to see where those dollars are coming from, but it's something we're continuously investigating. So if you had any thoughts around that yourself, I'd be interested to hear them. In the public space, what we're looking to do is make this a twofold effect, something that schools can invest in for their students, but also something they can use as a marketing piece. We know that there are huge marketing budgets to showcase schools as an innovative space, and I think that this technology would be a great way to use those marketing dollars. Does that answer the question? Okay.
On the rental side, how does it work? Do you have a lot of these products sitting around that you're packaging up and shipping out to a client, or do you find that you're doing an engagement with them first, and then that's where the carry-on is that they want to do this on their own, and they've learned from you how to do it? How does that process work?
Typically, that's the way we do it. After a 1 or 2 day demonstration, when they can see the value out of this, see how people respond to it, we're looking to have those conversations leading to long-term engagements. But we need that first point of contact. For a lot of people, virtual reality is something they've heard of but never tried themselves. And so it is after a demonstration or an event on a more micro basis that we're looking to go long-term. And that's actually something that they have asked for, because it's an easier way to understand how virtual reality works. If you compare this to a 1 or 2 day workshop, we're doing something similar, but when you think of how having access to this on an ongoing basis, the retention of what you're learning in there becomes much easier to understand.
My question is, like, how are you going to manage the content of the stuff? Like, are you going to validate that it is correct or not, or are you going to contact any university to validate that?
For sure. That's definitely part of our goals as well. As we would love to publish a white paper on the study that we'd like to run with one of the universities we're working with. The time frame on that is difficult. There's a lot that goes into that. We've been around about 2 years now, so we haven't gotten to the point of publishing an official study, but we have the data to provide anecdotal evidence that this is improving people's ability to either reduce their filler word count, for instance, improve their eye contact, things that we've collected on our own, but not in the form of a formal study yet, though it's something we would very much like to do.
Hi, I'm Ran.
Nice to see you.
Quick comment, quick question. Comment, I have used the in-stage system, and I can tell you when I stood up in front of the simulated auditorium of people, my heart rate was up about 20 beats a minute. So it's a great tool. My question is, I think the comment made earlier from the panel that this can be replicated, collection of data, production of data, AR story, etc. What do you think are going to be strategically in the mid to long term the key things that you need to do to prosper in what will become a vastly competitive marketplace for this kind of product?
I think what's critical for what we're doing, and it ties back to the artificial intelligence piece, is that what's going to be difficult to replicate in the future is the data needed to inform these artificial intelligence models. So we have a lead on much of our competition right now, 2 years worth of data that is going to be difficult to replicate. Until you do the repetitions we've done and run the volume we have, there is no way to replicate live data like that we've collected in the field. So in one mode of defense, what we're doing is collecting as much data as possible, even if we don't know what to do with that data yet, because we know it'll be critical to informing these models in the future. And by that point, we're hoping that the artificial intelligence itself becomes a defense against replication, because it will be informed with data that is hard to get 5 years from now when we have 7 years worth of data.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, big hand for him. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you may ask the question, how come we don't have interaction from the angels, or take it a little bit further? And the reason being is that we want to make sure that there's continuous engagement with the angels or with the people providing the contact. So now the two of them have a question they can ask, and they're going to hunt each other down, and that gets them talking again, which gets the interest and shows that the entrepreneur can work with the angels. So if not, we would be here for a very long time. So. And one point I want to throw up just before the next group goes up, we were working with the band Rush. Everybody knows who Rush is? Well, the cool thing about this was that met with Rush, and he was the GM, the guy that ran all of Rush, and they were talking about collecting data. And what the great thing that Rush did is that every concert they have played since day one, every gig, everything, they've stored every single thing from drum kits to sticks, to picks, to pictures, to posters. They had a whole huge warehouse filled with this stuff. And guess what they're doing with it now? They're putting it back into the community so the community drives because they want it. So they didn't know what they needed it for 30, 40 years ago, and now they have a reason to use it. So it's the same thing on a data collection. Figure out, you might not know what you need it for now, but collect everything you can because that's going to be valuable at some other point. So, all right, so next up, 3Hive. Awesome.
Hello. Sorry, I tend to get a little bit loud, so just want to make sure I got the right voice tone here. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Tyler Simpson, and my company is 3Hive. We aim to eliminate the increasing extinction rate of bees through our apparel, our education, and our advocacy. Sorry. So first, I'd like to introduce you to the Hive. Meet Sean. Sean is an influencer and is well respected in the Adobe community for his work in design. He's the brains behind the project. I myself, I work in social entrepreneurship. I'm currently pursuing my diploma with the school, and I work in such fields such as mental wellness and financial literacy. I just want to tell you a little bit about the brand as well. It all started when Sean was a young bee. He would go to his grandfather's hive, and throughout the years, he began to realize that bees were very important to the community. What he also realized was that his grandfather was taking the proceeds from the hive and putting it towards Sean's education. We didn't know it then, but at that moment, that's truly when the 3 Hive journey began. But enough about us. I want to talk about what's really important, and that's the bees. Because, well, frankly, they're dying. It's a harsh reality, and it's really tough to think of. Can you believe that these little guys account for over 80% of pollination worldwide? On top of that, they provide a $30 billion industry in crops. I guess what I'm trying to get at is without bees, there is no human life. And again, that's very tough to think of. So right now, the bee community is facing 2 adverse problems. The first is pesticides, and the second is destruction of habitat. Well, luckily, 3 Hive has a solution. Our plantable seed paper. Our plantable seed paper tag will allow consumers to take it right off of the apparel and plant it directly into the ground, increasing the habitat for the bees. I would like you now to just take a look at our apparel line, but just know that it doesn't stop there, okay? We also want to get into the streams of education. Another important thing we want to do, Another important thing we want to do is get consumers involved in our loyalty program. We hope this retention will allow them to give back to their own community. We want to pursue educational revenue through workshops. And finally, my biggest dream, advocacy. I feel that we need to bring it full circle. Although we have a solution for the destruction of their habitat, we need to have a solution for their pesticides. And the only way we can do that through is advocacy. So now this brings me to my ask. I ask you to join a movement that I began by bootstrapping and using my student loans to save the bees. That within just one short week, I was able to generate $2,000 in sales. And just look at some other companies that are doing the same. Tentry, they're using the same revenue model, and they're doing it with the trees, and they're doing wonderfully with it. So through our education, our apparel, and our advocacy, we will eliminate the increasing extinction rate of bees. Just know, it's because we care. Thank you.
Perfect. Good job. Thank you. All right, who wants to jump in? I'll steal the clicker. Chris, you want to start?
Yeah. Tyler, thank you. I mean, this is an issue that I think should be dear to the hearts of everyone here, because we will not be alive without insects on this planet. I liked your presentation. I liked, obviously, your enthusiasm and passion show through wonderfully. If you could just explain a little bit more about the apparel side. I mean, I love the idea of having a plantable tag attached, but my thought would be then, why limit that to your apparel? Why not have every manufacturer of apparel adopt this so that, you know, we can deal with this on a worldwide kind of issue?
That people could be doing. We also are living in possibly
Sorry, no answers. We're just hustling through.
Okay, just comments.
Same
okay.
process all the way through. Sorry, guys. I'm the bully here, I guess, but let's keep her going.
Okay, I don't think you really had time to sort of present, you know, how you're making money off of this, or whether you need to, or whether you're actually a for-profit company or a not-for-profit company. If you could just, you know, give us some idea on all that kind of stuff. I'd like to know about your distribution channels, and you know, do you have any partnerships in the private sector that are assisting with this, or in the public sector as well? But anyway, I mean, that's it. It's a great cause. It's really nice to see you guys tackling this in the social enterprise forum. Good luck to you.
Thank you. All right, who else? Who else? Angelo.
Hey, Tyler, good presentation. I like it. You had good pace, good tempo. And you did create buzz in the audience, so good. I'm a strong believer in businesses that have a hybrid social enterprise and profit attached to it. And I think you have the potential here of doing that. And Heather knows that I'm really passionate about this. I know she is. So I think, if anything, the one thing that I would suggest, and if you'd like, we can sit down and talk about, how do you structure something like that where you can get that profit and still maintain the social impact, and because you want both extremes or both ends, and that would attract investors such as us to come in.
Okay, good. Last, Jason?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say I love bees. So my dad's got a beehive, so I've been around bees for a while. I'm a big believer in your cause, and any business that has a cause, you're starting off on the right foot. So congratulations on that. I think that's very, very good. I would need, of course, more information on the financial, the strategy, the structural. How do you operationalize this? Because it's a great idea. And how much impact, say, for example, your tag will have. Anecdotally, you've talked about it, but how much impact will it have if you had, for example, you could phrase it, 2 million tags out there equals what? And that might have a big impact to my heart when you say something like that, but very good. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Answer these ones?
Okay, who has a question? Hands up. Trees.
Just really quick one, because I am fascinated by this plantable tag. Do we just plant it anywhere? What am I growing? Is it dandelions?
So again, to rephrase, the biggest problem with the bees is the lack of the habitat. So mainly it's wildflowers that they tend to pollinate, and don't get me wrong, they pollinate a lot of different crops. But what this does is it takes about 12 species of wildflower that are not invasive, and it allows the consumer to plant it wherever they'd like. So I personally have planted it in my house, just as a little watch it by my window. You can go out. Later down the road, we'd like to have designated areas in the community where possibly people can come and we can have flower beds. Yeah.
Hey, Tyler. So my name is Frank. First of all, I just want to let you know that you're an awesome young man. It makes my heart feel warm when I see young men that are very smart that want to do something social. I have a solution for you. It's just a thought. It's not the Angel Investor Avenue. I'm not sure where you buy your swag or your T-shirts, but there's an organization called the Promotional Product Professionals of Canada. It's called the PPPC. It's a $5 billion industry. I think that I can possibly help you connect you with some of the people in that industry and attract this as their cause, if you will. Even some of the big manufacturers of that swag. So are you getting your stuff right now from China, or are you buying it from here?
So right now, I was making it a big initiative of mine to have everything in Canada. Of course, again, my mission is the bees, so I am open to possibly going wherever. Okay. But right now, we're having the apparel made in Canada. Okay. But again, I've only had my first order. That was strictly through family and friends, but I am open to possibly other organizations.
Well, if you're getting your swag, you're either getting it to somebody that belongs to the Promotional Product Professionals of Canada, right? And they're giving back to the community. Great. But given that you're a young man with a social cause, I have some friends that I would love to connect with you. JP, Angelo, all these individuals. I know it makes your heart happy as well, JP, when you hear this stuff. So again, I'm glad that I came out, and I'd like to talk with you after if it's okay.
That sounds great. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect.
Hi, Tyler.
Hey, how's it going?
So kind of building a little bit on like the kinds of plants that you're planting and stuff. Non-invasive species in one area is not necessarily going to be a non-invasive species in another area. Are you planning to do international sales? And if so, are you planning on changing out the tags based on the locations?
For sure. So that was something when we first started this that we were a little concerned with. So just to say, as of now, and again, because I've limited within the country, all of the on the seed paper, all of the species, they're not invasive anywhere in Canada. As for international, I don't have an answer for that right now, but I'm pretty sure I can do my due diligence and be able to handle that no problem.
Perfect. Any other questions? Yep.
I mean, one of the challenges with the industrial agricultural model is that it's not sustainable, and you're your solution is only part of the solution.
Of course.
Have you considered using AI in order to try and create a whole new ecosystem around agroecology?
Yeah, so I have looked into the AI portion. I've looked at other projects that have used nodes to measure the soil in the ground, so I know that technology is out there. As for me at this position, again, 3Hive, a little bit of a three-step process. I'm hoping to tackle with the apparel first. Because me personally, I feel the bee community is a little bit declining and it's not as popular as it used to be. So I feel if I can enter through our apparel and then head in through the educational portion and then follow up with the advocacy, that'll allow me to use things such as AI when I get going.
Okay, great. One last one, Imran.
I just wanted to say, since the apparel is your focus, it looks great. It's a great logo. I would definitely be interested in knowing where to. It's just on the website.
Awesome. So right now, just because I was doing a pre-sale to family and friends, I had a Google form set up for them. So I do have a Facebook and an Instagram page running. It does have other pieces of our apparel there as well.
Right on. Okay,
Awesome.
thanks, man.
And thank you.
Perfect. I think everybody should buy a T-shirt.
Awesome. Thank you.
Support the bees. Thank you very much, Tyler. Great job. All right, now we're moving on to the one of our keynotes. So I'd like to introduce you guys to a gentleman that I met a few years ago. I've been a big fan of. Really enjoy pretty much everything about the guy. He's just all around good, solid guy. And can't say anything. There's so many positive things to say about him. But I'd like to introduce Eric from All or Nothing. He has a great beer, and he's going to tell you his story and share a little bit about the exciting venture that they've been on. So let's hear it for Eric.
Hi everyone, I'm Eric Dornan. I'm sure they'll get my slides up here in a second. I live in Whitby. It's been home for me for the last little while. Am I talking into this or?
Use the mic, use the mic.
I was going to say, I'm probably loud enough they can hear me anyway. So my name's Eric Dornan. My brother and I started a company called All or Nothing Brewhouse just over 5 years ago in Oshawa. We originally started as what they called a contract brewery, so we didn't have our own brick and mortar facility that all the big Molson, Labatt's all had that we were competing with. We went through some challenges early on, which I'll kind of discuss here. So now we're proudly kind of Durham region's largest craft brewery and eventual distillery that we're going to be building here in Ritson Road in Oshawa. But we did start as a contract brewery. We started as a brewery called Underdogs Brewhouse. Just like any other business out there, you run into challenges. In our case, we ran into it 6 months into it. So we ended up having a trademark dispute and having to change our name to All or Nothing. So my brother and I now do just live the vibe of All or Nothing. I'm there 7 days a week. When it's a passion project, it doesn't feel like work, so we enjoy what we do. For us, as I said, we're the largest brewery in Durham. We just bought a new building, which I'll touch base. This is kind of a rendering of what it looks like. I wish it was that pretty now, but when we bought it, it was vacant, graffiti all over it. It's actually at Ritson Road in the 401 for the most part. We're hoping to be open in about a month's time. Obviously, there's lots of regulation in our industry, so we're having to jump through those hoops, but these are some of the new beers that we are sampling later today that we have at our table. You can find them at the LCBO, beer store, grocery store, pretty much any major retailer you can find alcohol, you'll find our products. Some interesting highlights we've had in the last little while. My brother's actually the chairman of the Ontario Craft Brewers Association. He's also a Durham College and UIT alumni. He's also been a board member on the beer store's board of directors, so we do have our ears to the ground in the industry, which has helped us quite a bit. I strongly encourage anyone here who's pitching today, no matter if you're successful with getting an investment or not, keep your ears to the ground in your industry because it does help you quite a bit. For us, it brought the opportunity of buying this beer store, so a lot of serendipitous stuff happens in business. For us, we have now finally surpassed our 3.5 million cans that we physically produce, so something that we're proud of. In the grand scheme of things, it's still peanuts compared to...
That's awesome.
Take some time. So, it's a lot of these when you see them coming off the machine, I'll tell you that much. But if you can go to the next slide there, Jeff. Yeah, so that's kind of who we are. We had an interesting, unorthodox approach to kind of how we grew our business. So like I said, we started as a contract brewery. So we were brewing at very large facilities, but we could obviously only afford so much inventory at the time. So it was I'll describe it as a hustle. We would bring in product from other people's facilities. For the most part, we used a brewery called Cool in Etobicoke. We would bring in the product. We would basically repackage everything, get it ready for the market again, ship it, physically go sell the product. So My brother and I hustled that with just the two of us for about 2.5 years, got it into 500 stores. At that point, we kind of caught the attention of a couple other people in the industry. My brother had his sort of fingers in the Ontario Craft Brewers Association. So as a result, there was a gentleman who owned a group of companies called the Trafalgar Group of Companies that we ended up acquiring in July 2016. So that was 2 smaller breweries and a distillery that he kind of operated as one as a whole company, if you will. There's a lot of synergies, but it was a tired business, so we knew we were buying into a non-thriving asset. It was going to be a rebuild, if you will. So that was based in Oakville. I lived in Whitby. We drove every single day for 2.5 years from Whitby to Oakville. I now laugh that our building that we have in Oshawa, the mortgage will be paid for what I used to pay to drive to work, essentially. So we're lucky that now we can double down. We have some assets and we're kind of past the startup stage, but we're just here today to introduce ourselves, make sure everyone in the community knows who we are again. If you go to the next slide there, Jeff, I think I've got one more. I'll keep it brief because I do know that other people here has time that they're looking to use. One thing that I'll say for our business that's been a key success driver is that we really have reached out to as many community outreach programs as we can, provincial, federal, whatever the case is. There's lots of resources out there that you can take advantage of. In our case, Durham College UIT have been a great partner. We've actually made private label beers for Bistro 67, which is Durham College's restaurant over by the highway. This year you'll see us develop out 3 or 4 new private label beers for them that'll be using all produce that they've grown on site. So to your point about 3 hives, they have honey there. We look forward to using them. We're one of the largest producer of mead in Canada. So we buy honey in massive, massive totes. So I think what you're doing is a great cause. For us, there's even smaller organizations like the Central County Tourism that for our business being brick and mortars, it's very advantageous to have people be aware of who we are so they can come see us. So make sure you reach out to the appropriate associations or networks that you guys can for your industries. Yeah, I mean, in our case, we've had an interesting ride. It's been fun. We're at a stage now that we're willing to open our doors up to the public and get people to be aware of us. Like I said, we're about a month away, so if anyone lives local here, please, I hope to see you guys by. In the meantime, we will have beer samples at the end of the event that anyone can enjoy and consume. So.
Awesome. Let's hear it for them. That's awesome. Very exciting. Very exciting. No worries. Thank you very much for that. And that was me yelling on their thing. That was pretty exciting that you hit your over 3.5 million. Sorry. Came out like a screech. I guess I couldn't control the screeching. All right. So up next, we are going to have Seat Giant. Let's hear it for him.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us. So SeatGiant.ca, SeatGiant.com, who are we? So we actually started out 3.5 years ago, and we started out as a bus tour business. And what we used to do as past sports fans is we used to take people to their favorite sporting events and concerts. A lot of fun, not really saving the world, but get to have a good time out. That's a fun thing to do. So we ended up taking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands and 5 and tens of thousands of people to different sporting events and concerts all throughout North America. Now, a lot of the times it originated right here in the GTA or Toronto, and we'd go, let's say, to Detroit and take them to a bus tour and go see the Leafs versus the Red Wings, probably lose 3-2 in overtime, come home, kind of upset. But what ended up happening after every single tour was probably the best thing for any business, and maybe one of the best things for any new business. And that was people said, guys, we had such a fantastic time, so much so that we want tickets to Tuesday night's game. Can we get them? And what ended up happening was after every single tour, we kept getting that question, can we get them? Can we get them? And our answer was always the same. It was no. So we said there's a fundamental problem here. And one thing I guess I could teach anybody in the room, and we've learned this being a business for now 3.5 years, is you go in with a certain mindset as a certain business, and at any point you can make a left or right, but let the customers dictate that. And that's what we did. So they said, we want tickets. We want more from you guys. We love you guys. So we sat down, and over a course of 12 to 14 months, we said, we got to get tickets. We got to figure this thing out. So through some of my past experiences, and I'll talk about that in a few slides, we connected with over 4,200 ticket brokers all over North America, and we launched SeatGiant.com. Now, SeatGiant.com was a platform to buy tickets to any major sporting event or concert in North America, and we did what every new entrepreneur, bootstrapped entrepreneur would do. We did it in US funds. It's the cheapest, easiest thing to do. Why wouldn't we? Right? Great way to enter the market. Do what everyone else is doing. Right? And I'll talk about in the next few slides how we changed the game and how we changed how you buy tickets today in Canada. So what we saw, and when we launched SeatGiant.com, what we saw in the marketplace was we saw a few of these bullet points here, and I'll read them out and I'll talk about them. Is we saw a poor experience, especially when we talked about the user and what they're going through to actually purchase tickets. Right? We started learning that, hey, it's okay to drive 4 or 5 hours to Pittsburgh to go see an NFL football game by buying your tickets through Stub, whatever they're called. Let's not mention them today. But you go buy those tickets and you get to the gate, and isn't it awesome when you walk through and you can't get in? But the mindset of that customer was great. They had great intentions to take their kid to a football game, and you call that particular company up and they'll give you your money back. That's a good guarantee, isn't it? But what about my hotel? What about my gas? What about my time? And more importantly, what about that experience? So we started learning about that. And we said, what are the biggest objections? And the first thing we did, and I wish it was some incredible scientific formula, but we went to Google and we said, what are the ratings and reviews? What do others say? What do others hate? If we're going to enter this market, let's do it right. So a couple other things we saw was all competitors allow peer-to-peer selling. And that sort of goes back to that exact same experience. So I can't go to the Leaf game tonight because I'm at OPN for every right reason. I'm going to put my tickets up and somebody will buy them. Now, how do we vet those? How do we ensure those are real tickets, they're real barcodes, and they'll get you through that gate? We can't. So after doing our data and after doing our analysis, and not just Google ratings and reviews, but really listening to customers and going out on the street and just asking, where do you buy tickets? What happens with that experience? And so on, we started learning quite a bit. The other thing we noticed was all tickets were sold for Canadian events in US funds. Why? Why? Right? And it became so preeminent that that's what we did. But we did that because we learned out of the 4,200 ticket brokers that 3,892 of them were based in the US. Well, that's good for them. Me and 35 million people are based in Canada. So why aren't I servicing them with their local currency? And the only way it started making sense to these brokers is when I had a conversation with them and said, I got an idea. The next time you go to a Super Bowl, you're going to walk up to the gate and you're going to say, here's 2,000 euros. And they looked at me and said, well, why would I pay in euros? I go, well, why should we pay in US? That doesn't make sense. So as of June the 1st, 2017, SeatGiant was the first secondary ticket marketplace in all of North America to sell tickets in Canadian dollars to Canadians. Something we're incredibly proud of. It took us 14 months to do it. We literally were sitting in front of banks and they were looking at us saying, guys, we don't even understand what you do and how you do it because nobody's done it. But that's where the business started seeing a big shift. And that's where we started getting market shares being different. And now we get to also brand that, into local content. So not just, hey, buy a hockey ticket, it's, whoa. Okay. So it's not just buy a hockey ticket, it's buy a Leafs ticket on Thursday night against the Buffalo Sabres for $82, click here and pay in Canadian. Right? Every Canadian customer deserves that same experience. 2 clicks and you're at the game. Now, what does that mean for your experience as a user? Right? It's a pretty quick and efficient process, right? You get to pay in your own currency. You don't have to guess the exchange rate. And then what also happens when you pay in US funds is not just the exchange rate, the banks love it too. They say, well, wait a second, we want a piece of the action. Why can't we tack on now an exchange fee of 3 to 5%? So all of a sudden that $1,000 order, if you purchase on Friday night, well, first of all, you better hope the dollar goes up, not down, because you don't actually know what that is until Monday. And then you better hope that bank's good and only charging you 3% and not 5%. So these were all the things we got to leverage, right? And this is all the things we get to leverage even today. So what was our goal? What did we want to talk about when we said, hey, when we launched SeatGiant.ca, what do we really want to do? And it's this. We wanted to revolutionize the Canadian ticketing landscape powered by technology. Paying in Canadian dollars, thinking Canadians, with local Canadians always in mind. And SeatGiant.ca and SeatGiant.com, we still have our US platform for any US customers as well. But what we do is we take a 20% service fee off every single ticket we sell. Now, again, we don't let anybody sell tickets on the site. We only let people buy tickets. But every single ticket that's sold, we take a 20% fee. And we do that as a convenience fee. We do that as an efficient fee. We do that, again, so people, obviously it's revenue for the business, but more importantly, it's that people trust us. They come to us for that very reason. Now, where that differs to our competitors is our competitors charge anywhere to 20 to 25% US. Now, tack on your exchange or bank fee on top of that, you're looking at about anywhere between 33 to 38% Canadian. Big difference. Big difference. So who are our buyers? And it's weird. I don't know. There might be. I saw some people. I saw some of them walking through the halls on the way in. Right? It's crazy Justin Bieber screaming fans. It's party guys. It's rock fans. Right? It's sports fans. It's more crazy sports fans. If we're being honest. It's that guy and it's even that guy. The truth is, every single person's a customer. Whether you like going to a sporting event, whether you like going to a concert, or whether you like a theater show. If I walked around the room and asked who has gone or bought a ticket to one of those things, if you haven't, probably somebody you know has. So in Canada alone, the ticket markets, the secondary ticket market's $2 billion in Canada, and that's where our main focus is. Yes, we can focus on the 11 billion in the US, but there's a huge market here, and our Canadians deserve better, and we thought that as well. So who are we? So Josh and Eli, we're both the founders. We're brothers. I've worked for 3 separate billion-dollar companies, and I actually was at Groupon when they actually they wanted to get acquired by Google, and they got offered $6 billion. So I've been a part of a really big startup business. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Groupon, and I've had a lot of experiences working in the live events sector through Groupon and through my experience there. Now, just to talk about some of our revenues, and I know some of these numbers look really, really small in these slides, but we did just under $1 million in sales last year, or $200,000 in revenue if you take the 20%. We're on pace to do $2 million or $400,000 in revenue in 2019. We're going to do $4 million in 2020, $8 million in 2021, $12 million in 2022, and $16 million in 2023. So that's a nice trajectory. Now, what we also introduce is what we call our primary source to Seat Giant. So a lot of you today probably had to go into Seat Giant to register to get your ticket. So what was happening was Canadian customers were saying, guys, this is so great, we want more. I have a business and I list my tickets and I do talks and I do things. Can I list my tickets on there? So we created a platform for that. So it's been really nice that as the business has grown, so is our customers, and as our customers ask us for more, we're able to deliver more, and I think those revenues will even increase through that as well. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So, let me steal that. Who's up? Angelo, you want to take the...
I don't know. I'm already an investor in this through. So clearly, I like you guys. I love the passion that you guys have. You both come from the sporting environment beyond the tech. And I'm not a sporting guy, so I was afraid of you guys. That's why I put the money in. No, I really like the opportunity. And I think you have the potential for growth. And we've chatted about this. The one area that I'd like to see, you're very pragmatic in your growth. And you need to identify how you can accelerate that growth as quickly as possible by whatever means, whether it's partnering up with another entity or looking at getting a Series A or a second stage of funding to extend your reach. And the other area is using technology to better identify what your potential customers can look at purchasing beyond their initial reason to come onto the platform.
Okay. Who else?
Excellent presentation. I'm one of those people that got sucked into buying a U.S. ticket on a U.S. site, so I feel the pain. My comment is, you say you're making 20%, which would be this year 400,000, I think you mentioned. What would be your EBITDA? Like, we always talk about what the amount that you're gonna make, but we also need to know what your expenses are with regards to that. So.
Okay, good point, for sure. Chris, you jumping in?
No, I like you guys. I've invested indirectly through you. And it's a space that I think as a consumer, we've all been burned like Kim, or, and even the fraud sites too, where they, you think you're buying a ticket from Source and it's not Source and all that sort of stuff. But we just like to see you guys take on some of the giants in the industry and, sort of take down the service fees and charges that we pay even when we're buying, tickets in the primary market would be really nice too. And I know that at some point in time you're going to go down that road. Wish you guys all the best. Great presentation. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. All right, hands up, questions. Who's got questions? Okay.
So I'd imagine repeat business would be a big thing for you guys, but do you guys have like an app, or is it just a website-based platform?
Yeah, so everyone in the room will probably be happy to know we've actually partnered with Durham College, and we're actually through the AI Hub, and we're actually discussing a few different options and what we can do. So we are working with the Durham College students on developing and partnering with them, and not only an app, but we want to take it one step further. So come by our booth, and we'll explain some of the exciting stuff. We have some cool stuff on the go. Good
Awesome.
question.
Now, I know your idea. I'm myself a web developer. If I'll make your application similar to this with a different name, we will have a competitor. What do you think about it? What are you doing which is exceptional?
Yeah, I mean, I'm clearly not going to share that secret because it took 14 months. But I will say that our biggest competitors is $1 billion business owned by eBay, and they're still not in Canadian funds. So living here, being entrenched here, growing up here, I've really understood the market and what it's going to take, because there's a lot of things that happen in the back end to make that happen. So I would fully say good luck. $1 billion company can't do it, and I would honor you as a competitor.
That's very cool. Is there something that you tie into with your branding and how you've structured the business that's helped you generate a lot more eyeballs? Like, what things have you done to generate people coming to your business?
Yeah, just really brand it Canadian, right? There's nobody is Canadian owned, Canadian operated, and in Canadian dollars in the world, right? So we have a huge opportunity right here in our backyard. And growing up here, again, it's content that we're sending out local advertising. It's not buy a hockey ticket. It's buy an Oshawa Generals ticket Tuesday night, go to the box office, pay $40, click here and pay $8. Like, it's very, very targeted advertising, and that's what's helping us win Canadians over.
My question is, what if your competitor start like their thing, like charging the ticket in Canadian dollar, like basically copycat your business? How are you going to respond to that?
For sure. And to be honest, I thought that would have happened. We did it June the 1st. I thought June the 2nd it was coming out. So I don't know why they haven't. I'm still sort of waiting for that to happen. The good news is how they actually source their tickets are different. I talked about a peer-to-peer model where anybody can put up their tickets and what that experience shows. Go onto Google and type in their ratings and reviews and type in ours, and you'll see that we have by far the highest ratings and reviews in the industry, and we have that because of the way we source the tickets. So they won't go back on how they operate their business because obviously it's profitable or it's working for them. So for them to switch their entire model, first of all, they'd be years away, and for those years, we think we can get big enough. It's the first time we've ever raised money. We've done almost $1 million in sales without spending $1 in advertising. We run this business for $1,100 a month. And I didn't get a chance to say that during the pitch, but it's insanely lean how we do it. Now, the trajectory is sprinting. Getting to as big as a brand as we possibly can for somebody saying, hey, I have two ideas. I either enter the Canadian market and it costs $35 or $40 million, or I get rid of SeatGiant for 28. Right? So now's the time to sprint. And that's why we're here, and that's why we, speaking to the investors, and that's why the importance is today. We have the brand, we have the model, we're in Canada, let's grow.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for that, guys. Perfect. Okay, so up next, analog motion. Let's hear it for them. Let's hear it for them.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keenan. I'm the founder of Analog Motion and inventor of the Puppet Master motion capture system. For decades now, virtual reality has been promised as the next great technology experience, but today it still struggles to be seen as a viable investment opportunity by both businesses and consumers. In fact, a survey of industry professionals for 2 years running have highlighted that it is the high cost of the hardware that is holding the industry back from mass consumer adoption. The high cost of VR can be seen by the high performance PC that you need, by the expensive peripheral equipment, but what about the space? You practically need a whole room dedicated to VR. I'm here today because Analog Motion has the solution to this problem. But first, I need to tell you about a different form of VR that consumers are flocking to precisely because it's so cheap and accessible. Smartphone-powered VR, like the unit shown here, is a small, cheap plastic $30 device that can take your smartphone as the viewing apparatus, and using the embedded accelerometer, you can look around a 3D space. This is significant because smartphone-powered VR accounts for almost 70% of all hardware shipments. And even a business intelligence report has shown that it's going to be smartphone-powered VR that will experience the fastest adoption over the next 5 years. But the problem is that these are passive experiences and very basic. The Puppet Master motion capture system provides this solution. We are developing a portable motion tracking device represented here by this paperclip that is wearable, that connects to your smartphone over Bluetooth, and provides full range tracking for your hands and arms, allowing for a fully immersive VR and AR experience. Our technology is portable, it's affordable, and it provides uninterrupted full range precision, unique to anything that is currently offered, even the latest products. What the Puppet Master system will do will dramatically reduce the barrier to entry for fully immersive VR for the nearly 2.7 billion smartphone users worldwide. And on the other hand, businesses and VR developers will have a chance to access a segment of the nearly $10 billion that are spent on mobile gaming in North America alone. Any solution? Okay, so our business model is to sell both hardware and software. The Puppet Master system can be sold at an estimated 500% markup with a regular new release schedule. A software development kit can be licensed to businesses, and a premium will be charged for access to the sizable smartphone market. Our technology is patentable, and it is resilient to infringement from competition. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how it works or even show you what it looks like, but I will share with you our progress up to date. A proof of concept prototype has been built, it has been brought to Durham College, and it has received a grant that has gone towards hiring a professor and student team that are currently working on the next version of the prototype. Also, a group of students have been put together, and they're working on a software tie-in application that is meant to demonstrate the strengths of the Puppet Master system. We've also reached out to these organizations to help further our business development. So going forward, our short-term business goals are to seek reasonable funding that will allow us to complete the patent process, but also launch a crowdfunding campaign that will be meant to drive consumer interest and also pre-orders. Beyond that, we would be looking at a second stage of funding that would go towards making good on our promises of the crowdfunding campaign, but also prepare for a public release. And hopefully this will bring us to our exit strategy, of course, is to sell or license the IP to an established third party. So if you want to be a part of this exciting opportunity to bring virtual reality to the masses through an affordable motion tracking system for the smartphone platform, the key to a segment of a nearly $10 billion mobile gaming industry, then today we are offering equity in our business in exchange for $100,000. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Panel, who would like to jump in?
I think that was a great presentation, and I think it's a very good plan. Whenever we look for startup endeavors or new initiatives like this, we always look for a three-legged stool. The first leg of the stool is customer desirability. And I think that based on history, based on the fact that many people have been trying to do this for a long time, but there is a market for it, so I think that that first leg of the stool is there. The second one is profitability and viability. So is there business viability? And I think based on your numbers, and again, based on the potential global market for this, I believe that that second leg of the stool is there. The third leg of the stool that's important for us is technical feasibility. And although your presentation was very good, I did not get the sense of what it was that you had, what your secret sauce was that enables technical feasibility. So that's the only part that kind of holds me back a little bit from giving it 3 thumbs up. Thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. So great presentation. I'll start off by saying that the idea is awesome. It's a great idea, both the consumer market as well as the industrial market. Anyone using VR, this is useful. And I would argue, watch out for the cost to get into VR. Moore's Law, the price is going down like crazy. And there's still opportunities to utilize this type of device on a portable PC, whatever it might be. So don't ignore that concept, and don't be afraid, or beware of the fact that hardware costs are coming down exponentially. The technical feasibility is what worries me, because I think it's awesome. And I'm in the VR world as well. It's difficult, and what you're trying to do is difficult, but if you can do it, it does have some great opportunities. And I would also say there's a variety of consumer markets that you could start to label as opportunities to get into the IP world, and in some cases sell the IP to several different places, in my opinion. But that's another topic. Thank you. Good presentation.
Okay, good. Who's in? Angelo, you're up. Okay, Chris, you're in.
Here, we can do it together. Come
Okay.
here.
No, great presentation. I just think perhaps you might want to consider tapping the gaming market for a strategic partner, to kind of help you not only on the funding side of life and be a potential exit partner, but also to kind of just get things kickstarted, and because I think that's going to be your real marketplace. I like the market. It would have been really nice to have seen some sort of a demo or a video of what it's like to wear these, and because everyone here owns a smartphone, and it's kind of like, okay, how would this really work? To just, and you might, the prototype might not be at that stage yet. I don't know, but going forward, if you can do that, I think that'd be really helpful on the presentation side of life, and just have a booth where people can give it a go. I know one of the other companies that I've invested in, Marion Surgical, uses VR thing, and to be able to actually put the thing on and be inside, the operating room, which is their environment, was really amazing. And it'd be nice to be able to do that for yours too. Anyway, thanks very much. Good luck.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, guys. All right, who's hands up? Who's got questions? Come on, this isn't too technical. You guys got this.
My question is about this market size. I actually had a couple months ago the seminar with a Deloitte, the consultant, about those market size of AR. Mm-hmm. Isn't you guys making your market size too optimistic? Because I don't see a lot of growth in this AR industry, despite a lot of push from the manufacturer. And I talked to the guy making the AR game, and they told me that it's unless you really the hit ones, not many of them are actually the market viable. So how are you going to explain to everybody that you have enough market size that you can sell the product and that you can eventually scale up?
For sure. Well, I think part of the market viability aspects does come down to cost a lot. So that's kind of the key thing that we're addressing to reduce the barrier to entry in that regard. As far as the market size, we have presented the numbers that kind of show the potential. But admittedly, we're still working on the market research to identify those key areas and those key groups where we would see the most traction, essentially.
My most important advice is ask your lawyers to file provisional patents because it buys you 1 year. It also is a tenth of the cost to file, so under $5,000 you can file provisional.
Yeah.
And then you keep extending PCTs for 30 months and just keep filing every 3 months more provisionals. And then you can put all the inventions into one provisional. Don't worry about separating them because your play is an IP play initially. And it's the only thing which will protect you as you go through the struggles of getting the technology out.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. We are certainly looking into provisional patents and something that would allow us to actually show and demonstrate the unit in a setting like this, which unfortunately I couldn't do today, but it is in the works.
I just had an idea for you. I was thinking, so your main product is the actual clip, right? That's the main idea here?
Well, the clip is a representation.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking what you should do, whether you make your own VR headset or outsource one on Alibaba or made in China or something, is you should take a VR technology and sell it with your clip as a one-piece kit. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, as a consumer for a gaming industry, I would totally buy that, you know, personally. Like, I would buy the VR kit that comes with the clip.
Yeah.
So it's a one-piece thing, and potentially even partner with, you know, a game company or a physical game. I think that'd be a good idea.
I appreciate that. Definitely, that's something to think about. The beauty of our system is that it's pretty much compatible with all the visor technology. So we don't need to get into developing a visor technology. There's plenty of options out there that we can use with. The consumer would be able to mix and match what they want to use. They could use a low-cost system like this, or they could throw on an expensive, you know, few $100 high resolution pixel and allow for a fully mobile, immersive experience. You know, take it on the go, essentially.
Great presentation, thank you. I'd like to know more about you, first of all, your experience that you're bringing to the table, your team, and finally, do you have an advisory group that's working with you?
My advisors are a few. There's some here right now. I've been partnering with FastStart. I've been also talking with the Spark Center downtown. So they have been very helpful with resources and strategies and everything of the sort like that. My personal experience is I come from a pretty well-rounded background. I'm a graduate in politics. I started and ran a renewable energy business. And coming to Durham College was actually inspired by the idea for this technology. So I had the idea for this, and all of a sudden I saw something on the internet, and I'm like, oh, that's how I built it. But I also had to learn how to do computer programming as well by chance. And that led me to Durham College to enroll as a computer programmer analyst to help me finalize the puzzle pieces to make this happen.
Okay, great. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have our next keynote, and to share a little bit about Isaac. Isaac is from Geek Speak, and what I love about Isaac is he's been in the Durham region, building his business and giving back to the community at the same time. Last weekend on Friday, we spent 36 hours on their 3rd annual hackathon for AI, and it was very successful. They had a lot of teams and a lot of great products that came out of it. So I'm a big fan. I love going to your events, and I'm glad you're able to come today and talk to the crowd. So thank you very much. Let's hear it for Isaac.
Thank you, Jeff. That was awesome. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. I read somewhere that when you give a keynote, 35% of the people decide whether or not they like it within the first 10 seconds. So I'm hoping by the time I'm done, you guys will be back. My name is Isaac. As Jeff mentioned, I'm the founder of Geekspeak Commerce. We are an e-commerce services company in downtown Whitby. We spend a lot of time working with a lot of retailers in Canada. So if you've shopped on Marks, if you shopped on Walmart.ca, you shopped on Rona, chances are you've looked at our photographs or you've read a product description that we wrote. So we really focus on helping companies drive and be more successful in this. A lot of large companies are Canada as part of our customers. You can visit our websites. In Canada and the US, we're working with companies like Honeywell and Amazon and so on and so forth. And ultimately, it's a testament to the kind of work and the quality that we've done. But it didn't all start here. And this is what I'm about to talk about today to the folks here who are starting and pitching and really deciding to build their companies forward. It starts with an idea and it starts with a vision. I started Geekspeak as the first employee, literally in my basement. It is a bit of a cliche story, but that's really how it started. I started by taking one customer who wanted a brochure written, and they wanted a picture created that was going to go on their website. And ultimately, it was a vision and passion and desire to do that actually brought us to where we are today, and it's something we're very, very proud of. With that, I learned a lot of things in terms of how do you achieve success as an entrepreneur. And I'd hate to say I've achieved success because I feel like I'm jinxing it all the time. And something probably a lot of you guys face. You almost never want to look back and say, what have I done? Just keep going forward. But the two things I've learned. First one is really about navigating change. I know we talk about the challenges that entrepreneurs have, and we all have these challenges when we're trying to start a business. Not enough money, which is why the investors are here. Not enough time, not enough talent. I don't have the team that I need. So all these challenges are, inherent as part of a business startup, and they're okay to have. But what's more important, and something that really I noticed that changed my business and the business of our team, is noticing changes and seizing those changes and actually moving with them. And in business, we call this pivots. You start off with, I'm going to do VR, and then you realize, maybe I should be thinking about how else to apply this. We talk about, starting off selling, tickets and resale, but then you realize there's an opportunity where other customers are not being served, and how else does that help grow my business? Geekspeak started off as really marketing communication. You needed a brochure, we'll help you write it for you. Writing website copy, we'll do it for you. But along the way, we kind of saw the growing competition. We were competing with agencies that had a lot bigger bigger teams, more budgets to advertise. So we saw we were getting squeezed out. But what I noticed is there was at that time, a small growing space called e-commerce, and more people were shopping online, and more retailers were really beginning to realize that we need to do a better job in this channel. But they didn't have the skill set to do it. They didn't have the people in-house. And the large agencies who were doing this did not want to touch it because it's grunt work. I mean, Rona will come to us and they say, look, I've got 2,000 screws that I'm selling on Rona.ca, and I need a description for each and every one. The agency doesn't want to do that. But what we realized is that we could do this. And there's really an opportunity here that was unique. And this is where we did, and our company has grown. We're in that, we're still less than a $5 million company, but the growth has shown itself. And we moved from a company that relied on other brands to introduce us to these big companies to the space where we can actually win them themselves. I came, first thing this morning I did was sit with Staples Canada. And we're talking content strategy for their website and where they're going to move and how they could integrate better services like Geekspeak is doing into their offering to their customers, because their business customers are changing as well. And those conversations can be had because of what we have done. Heading off, I tried to head off to Boston because we want New Balance, the shoe company. They need support on newbalance.com, newbalance.ca, and they're also selling on Amazon. And those conversations can be had because we've specialized in a very narrow area that we're very good at, and ultimately has set us apart from the competition. So the conversation is really about pivot. And as we move forward and keep going, we're saying, okay, where else do we need to be? And where's our business going to be in the next 12 to 24 months? So pivot, recognize it, and take advantage of it. The next area I probably want to talk about is the importance of relationship. And key to how you grow is the people you know, the people you surround with. We're talking about advisors and investors and people and so forth. But also the folks who are in this room that are pitching with you. When people ask us, who do you talk to? Who do you spend your time with? It's not only people who are our customers at GeekSpeak, we also talk to people who compete with GeekSpeak. And it may seem like, why would I do that? Why would I share what I know with somebody who's going to compete against me? But what I say, what I ultimately have learned is that the market is so large, you're never going to be able to consume it all by yourself. So by learning from your competition, even sharing what's happening, you have an opportunity for growth. I mean, think about how many burger places, how many coffee places. And each company has their own niche and their own success point. And you can't really argue that Harvey's is not successful because McDonald's exists. So that's the importance of realizing that. Further to that is the importance of creating relationship with channel partners. Critical, critical, critical. I have a sales team of 2, maybe 3 people, and that really has only grown to that point in the past 12 months. I was the only salesperson before that. Walmart joined when I was only the only customer. And a lot of that is leveraging other people's sales channels, other people's sales teams to do the sales for you. Somebody says, we've got a platform that allows us to syndicate content or whatever the case is, and we've got all these customers, but we have no content. GeekSpeak, can you fill that? And a lot of our business comes from that. So recognize who your channel partners and who those relationships could be had with, and actually grow from that. Then the final important relationships I'd say really touching on is with your staff and the people who also believe in the work that you do. Jeff was kind enough to come and help us host a hackathon this weekend. And a hackathon, for those who don't know, is essentially an event where people get locked in a room for a certain period of time. In our case, it was 36 hours to really develop application for good. It's called Hack for Good. But with that, we're able to create relationship with folks like Jeff, stakeholders in the community. We had companies who had no business looking at who GeekSpeak was, but they cared about what we were doing. And they sponsored and they brought in lunch and breakfast. And ultimately, those relationships are very, very important. And then that even goes further with our team. I mean, we have staff who could have finished work at Friday, but they're there till 4 o'clock in the morning serving coffee to the participants. So relationships all along the chain are very, very important. Your customers will leave one company, go to another company, but they'll remember the work you did for them. And they'll certainly bring you along with that. Now, the last wrap I'd probably say is probably around the importance of innovation. You're all here, and I think it's hats off to OPN and FastStart and X-Lab, who is also a sponsor of our hackathon, but ultimately recognizing what innovation does. So we are recognizing we've been in a space for quite some time, and we are also looking for ways to innovate in terms of what we're delivering. So we started exploring how we could integrate artificial intelligence as an example. How does that apply to a company that actually creates content and has writers? But we're automating that using machine learning and artificial intelligence to actually build that. And we've developed apps that are actually sitting into Shopify's and have lowered the cost for manufacturers to actually produce that content. So you're selling 20 blouses on Shopify. You don't need to hire GeekSpeak at this higher rate. You just use the app and put in a description for $2 or $3. So that innovation is responding to different types in the market as well. The final part, I'd say you're here to make relationships, spend time talking to the folks who have taken their time to be in this room. You're part of what's a really, really exciting and growing ecosystem in Durham. Every time I hear people pitching and presenting ideas in this region, I'm very, very excited about it. Because ultimately that means we're all growing, and we also are going to benefit in terms of what's going to happen to this region and this area. So keep up the work, and again, Jeff, hats off to you for a great job.
All right, thank you very much. That was great. Thank you, man. Okay, Brian, you need that. All right, up next, Brainwave.
Good evening. I just need to disclose that I'm a very private person. It's only the 3rd time in 3 years that we've disclosed what we're doing. It's very technical, and you'll see the reasons why we don't talk about what we do. So basically, we're transforming the electrical industry, the power communications industry, and the power metering and building management industry. Between electrical shocks, electrical fires, the billions of dollars cost in property damage, there's electrical shocks, And I probably will challenge the CEOs of some of the big companies in the next 12 months to sit in a bathtub and try to see how their devices shock them or don't shock them. The existing electrical shock industry has tamper resistance. The shutters are a pain. You try to plug in your plugs into these outlets. They're mechanical. The voltage is really still live. And UL doesn't even require you to use tamper resistance on adapters and power strips. So you can still get a shock with those devices. With respect to the breaker panels and the receptacles, they're electromechanical. UL doesn't really test to see how fast they trip. And they don't protect you against arc faults. So you may have them in your bathrooms, your kitchens, your garages, but you're not protected against your electrical arcs. Electrical fires. The industry lies, like most industries. So they pretend that they can capture arc faults. They can't. They can only capture a certain type of arc fault. They don't capture series arc faults. They don't capture parallel arcs that are happening. They certainly don't capture glowing contacts, which are loose contacts at your receptacles. And they false trip. So you stick your vacuum cleaner in, and you'll see very often the breaker will trip, and it shouldn't be tripping. And you have the founder of arc faults protection, Joseph Engel, who's published that these breakers don't do what they're supposed to do. Our solution, by putting a computer processor, and just as background, I always do the opposite of what an industry does. So by increasing the cost, putting a CPU inside a receptacle, and controlling the voltage and current, suddenly you discover a whole world that nobody's ever looked into. And so suddenly you can put tamper resistance, arc fault protection, ground fault protection, surge protection, undercurrent protection, brownout. You can put all the safety features into one receptacle by putting a processor and sensors for the current and voltage. We also have optional communications, which puts us into the IoT market and into the network building marketplace. Part of our patents and our secret is the power is off all the time. So we've eliminated arcing entirely because we turn the power on within every cycle if there's no fault. And so you can't have an arc. You can't get electrocuted. You can't have an electrical fire because we don't turn the power on if there's a danger. We won first prize in California at a industry presentation against 8 Americans. And I didn't go there for that purpose, but out of 150 professionals, 80 voted for this. And I asked them why. And they said, because we understood what you did. And we asked, why didn't we do it? And I realized 6 months later that they really understood what the implications were better than I did. So this has been 3 years into development. The core technology goes not just to receptacle, but because it's so small, it can go into power bars, adapters. You can actually go into appliances. You'll be able to put it into your toaster. So you'll be able to provide all the safety features, including communications, right into your appliances. What came out of it, without my realizing, it came out 2 years ahead, is that because we measure the current and voltage in real time, and because we can see what's going on in any device, we can actually make it available to you. And we'll be able to make it available to the industry, where you can actually plug in anything and see what's happening with the frequencies, with the power factor that you can calculate, that will calculate for you. You'll be able to control loads on an individual load basis, and you have complete automation control. Then suddenly you discover that you can invent new products. So you can have a junction box, which instead of using Moretz, you've got complete current and voltage control. You can go downstream to multiple circuits. You can put it beside the breaker panel. So instead of replacing breakers, you can put a companion product panel with all the safety features right beside the breaker panel. And then you can actually replace the breakers with these digital modules. So you could have 40 modules at $50 instead of paying $200 for an arc fault breaker. You would have all the safety features built into one module. Patents. I'm a patent freak. So I've got actually over 400 patent claims filed by the end of this week. 3 of them are published. because they're published automatically after 18 months. The future is really, truly distributed power control. In that regard, imagine by your breaker panel a display where you can say on the following receptacles, loads, I want 2 watts on this receptacle so that I don't damage my computer. I want 8 watts, 8. Whatever wattage, current, voltage you want to control, we're going to give you that control. And that leads to basically distributed power, which doesn't exist in the industry. It's power switching. And with data communications over power lines, you've got a completely secure network. So wireless can be hacked. We're totally terrified of, we don't mind if you hack a refrigerator, but we can't have you hack power because it's too dangerous. So by having everything within the fence of a secure network, you can suddenly protect the entire facility through data communications, and you can prioritize which appliance, which machine, which medical device should have priority in receiving power. You can define the amount of power they can have. And if you have a building of 14 floors, you can monitor in real time all 14 floors of air conditioning, HVAC, and you can control the power remotely in real time. So it's really going to shake up the industry. And I know that we're being watched by all the big guys. The business model is one of subcontracting the manufacturing. I believe in sticking to your core competency. Our core competency is research development, customizing, licensing. We can produce in Ontario 50 to 100,000 boards a month. These are our targets, either competitors or work with them. And part of our Series A, private label, it's all the big players. So it's why we keep quiet about what we're doing, because they are watching us. And the markets, anybody can put any big numbers on. But within the first market of protection, the arc fault market's $1 billion. The ground fault market's $1 billion. The receptacles is $5 billion. The automation market, nobody has real-time monitoring and control and measurement of what's taking place in real time. Next, in 2020, our projections are 10 million in revenues, or it'll be a royalty deal with one of the big players. And I foresee doing about 300% growth a year. Funding, the last 7 years I funded 3 million of research development. So unlike most people, I believe in IP. I don't care about the revenues until I have the product ready. And I believe in high growth. And we funded it through equity, debt, and shreds and IRAPs. We're raising $500,000 just to get to the Series A round of 10 million this year, doing both in parallel. And just before I came here, I saw this comment by this industry expert. It's going to take, in 50 years, this expert feels that circuit breakers will have ground fault, arc fault, series fault, parallel fault, ground sensing, and so forth. We'll have it in 18 months. So it's not a 50-year game. We'll have it in 5 years, and I hope to eliminate about 80% of electrical fires.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, who's up? Jason, you're in.
Sure. I should probably talk because this is my industry in a lot of ways. First of all, fascinating technology. I'll say that right off the bat. My X-Lab manager is an electrical engineer, so he probably has a lot more questions, or he probably has a lot more answers to the questions that I do have. I'll say a couple things. The first piece is I do believe a product such as this has potential. And I'll say an incredible potential because of the CPU. Because of the ability to control and make things smart. And that's where the world is moving, whether it's industrial, whether it's consumer-based, it's moving smart. I know that because we're trying to do the same thing and trying to move into everything that we do is smart and controllable. A couple of things I would keep in mind is I'm also a big believer of choice architecture and behavioral economics. And it has to be so, if you're going into the consumer market, and I know you're dealing with IP, so partnerships, and I'm sure the business and the lawyers will talk a bit about, and the investors will talk a bit about partnerships, but I'm a big believer in how people behave. And if it's hard for them to manage, if it's hard for them to install, I don't understand the failure mode. The failure mode is very important to me in industry as well as consumer. So what's the failure mode, and do I have to replace my plugs every 18 months? That would frustrate me. So there's all these questions that I have, but in the back of my mind, I still see incredible potential. So thank you very much. I'll leave that for the rest of the folks on the panel.
Okay. Who else wants to jump in?
Sure. I really like it for a number of reasons, and mostly from the creativity point of view. And one of the techniques that we use to spur creativity or to spur new innovative ideas and approaches is called the reversal method. And I think that you've applied that in this particular case by essentially turning the power off until it's safe. An example, an easy to visualize example of reversal, we have a number that we've been successful with, but one that is very easy to find on the internet is filling beer glasses very quickly. So if you are at a stadium, maybe at the Jays game, and you need to fill glasses quickly, if you fill them from the top, if you pour them from the tap, so our beer guy, if he's here, you'll get a lot of foam and you get a big head at the top of the glass. But if you fill them from the bottom of the glass, you fill them up 5 times faster and you get absolutely no bubbles at the top. So that's an example of how reversal works, and I think you did a wonderful job of that. Very out of the box approach. The other part, clearly from a technical feasibility, I think that you clearly rang the bell there. And because of that, I guess what I would maybe ask you, or often safety is number one. Safety is and should be the most important value that we have. And if you have truly been able to deliver this, then in that particular case, regulation and the government can be your friend. And so with cost-benefit analysis and with data, you should be able to get the wave of adoption of your technology, I think, very, very easily. So I guess that's a question I have for you, or a recommendation. We're very closely tied with regulation, and when safety is involved, I think that's an important tool to use.
Perfect. Last. Who wants in?
So, great presentation. The product is excellent. I think it does have a lot of future. But my comment is, you've obviously spent a lot of time developing the technology, which is great. But I don't know about the feasibility on the other side for selling. In the fact that, have you been looking at the marketing side of it? Have you been looking at the consumer? What's the price point for the product? And so, I'm just a little concerned that you spent a lot of time on the technology up front without really looking at how we're going to actually get this thing going to market. So.
Well, you'll be able to talk to him after, for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Who has questions? Here you go. Hands up. Okay. Yep.
Yes, fascinating because of the safety aspect, etc. But as Copetti said, from a consumer and end user, I'm thinking, okay, who's collecting the data? Who's monitoring it? Is it a built-in, or do I have to now buy it separate too? So those are all the things that are stirring around as a consumer. But most importantly, who's controlling that data that's being collected? So who ultimately manages it, and what are they doing with it?
Actually, I get excited when I get through my body. There's 2 answers. One, all the receptacles are plug compatible with the existing receptacles. They can be embedded in existing power strips because it's very small, the circuit board. With respect to the data, I'm going to go down a path of where the internet should be going, which is allowing the consumers to make money on their own data And so I'm going to allow the users to sell their data through us to the marketplace. Yeah, that's a 5 to 7 year projection that I have of the internet in terms of who's making money on data. Yeah.
Other questions?
I mean, over the years, I've seen a number of products like, I don't know, probably started with X10, and there's been a bunch of power control products. And, you know, I've talked to distributors in the past, and they were complaining about extremely high return rates on these items, just simply because people had trouble understanding what it is or didn't really get into it. Have you looked at those and compared how your product would market relative to the experience those have? And I mean, I guess I don't know, I guess it's a different question, but where are you in terms of regulation?
Okay, so the first question, again, you've got arc fault receptacles, GFI receptacles. Now, similar to how ATI developed the Wonder Card in 1986, and they put EGA, VGA, CGA into one board and eliminated inventories, you're now going to have one receptacle that can give you 6 safety features all in one. There's no education. And the price point will be lower than the arc fault receptacle. So yes, of course, I've analyzed certain markets, and certain markets we do not have any competition in, like the metering, real-time, controlled delivery of power. There's zero competition in that space. With respect to certifications, that's what the whole industry is waiting on, is we're having 10 different products certified the next 12 months. And the politics are not on our side. I mean, they're friendly to us, these UL and CSA. But the truth is, it's been a 15-year battle by people in the industry fighting the NEMA, Manufacturers Association, the UL, who just is a puppet to NEMA. And so you've got, and the boards of directors of committees are Leviton and Siemens and Schneider and all the big players. And so it'll be interesting to see where the politics go against us. They've already changed certifications, guidelines since they read some of our patents. Thank goodness we can actually still meet the new certifications. So we know that there'll be attempts to block us by the big players.
I just have one question because it kind of resonated with myself. I just bought a large industrial building, and so I know that there's a lot of government programs. Some have dried up since in terms of retrofitting lighting and things like that. My building was 1955, so you can imagine there was a lot of updating to be done on a lot of different things. And in our case, I have a lot of equipment that's expensive, so your technology resonates with what I would love to implement. My question would be, have you looked at the avenues with any government agencies in terms of rebate programs or redemption in terms of getting a client like myself to retrofit my entire building rather than spending $40 or $50 for an individual outlet? Because we have gone the route of doing Wi-Fi outlets for lighting if an employee leaves it off or whatever the case is, and I know that those were like $50 an outlet. So I'm picturing yours might be substantially higher. So is there a way you can mediate that upfront cost?
Okay, they'll actually be lower. And second, add to the subsidies the notion of insurance, because if we can eliminate electrical fires and we can prove it, it could be an insurance play as well. So you have both. And I've been through the LED lighting incentive program that went on for 7-8 years. So I understand what you're saying.
Okay, awesome. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to our last pitch. All right, let's see it for, let's hear it for Tip Tap Pay.
Thank you. Good to go?
You're good to go.
All right. So I'm Chris Greenfield. I'm here to show you how we're going to change the way that charities and fundraising efforts receive donations, small change donations. The other thing we're going to show you is how enterprise can receive payment and make it faster and easier for all of us. See if I can work with 2 hands here. Why we're doing that? We're doing that because cash is disappearing. I don't know if you've been into a local Tim Hortons or Ronald McDonald House, and taken a look at those cash boxes and seen them empty. Or you've been intersected on the route. Can you give me some money for my hockey team or the Air Cadets? And you're looking and their box is completely empty. They're seeing a significant reduction in revenues. $3.6 billion is how much the charity space alone lost last year because of the reduction in impulse payments. Why? Because Canada is leading the way towards digital payments. So the ability to simply tap and make a payment. Which hand? There's problems in each industry. Whether it's enterprise, it's low transaction ROI, complicated POS solutions, difficult onboarding process. Charitable and nonprofit, the disappearance of cash. So we're obviously talking with Tim Hortons and the Camp Foundation, and they gave us this really interesting point. When the Canadian Mint got rid of the penny, that one organization lost over $1 million. That's $1 million just in pennies. That's an awful lot of pennies. So imagine now what they're losing with nickels, dimes, quarters, loonies, and toonies disappearing from people's pockets. The cost of the units are extremely expensive. You don't want to pay $600 or $200 for a unit to accept a simple tap payment. And low portability. Typically, you'll only have one unit for the whole charity group or even for the whole enterprise. And until now, it's really been inaccessible by the community economy. You'd have to have a merchant account, you'd have to have the level of agreement. There's a bunch of hoops that you have to go through that now with TipTap, you don't need to. We'd like to introduce you to TipTap Pay, simple way to pay. You just tap. I've just given $2 to this corresponding charity, or I just bought a beer, not $2, probably at $20. We do come in $2, $5, $10, and $20 units. They can be customized based off your business as well. So if you want us to come to your brewery, we're more than happy to help you pay for samples. And we'd love to sell the beeware wherever he is as well. So our goal is to help those that need the help. Charities, fundraising, small, medium-sized business, but even in the Sky Dome where you don't want to line up for 20 minutes to get a beer. You'd like to be able to tap and go. Grab your beer and tap. So that's why we created TipTap, not for the beer. It was actually because I couldn't tip a valet one day and I felt really bad. Very simple. This is actually the size of the device. This is our third rendition of a prototype. We're actually going down to an even smaller unit that can be worn on a lapel pin, on a lanyard like this, or embedded in permanent installations, including billboards that can react to it when you pay. So can you imagine tapping and seeing the sick kid get stronger and stronger and stronger? You might soon. How we help is faster transactions. You can have lots more units from an enterprise standpoint, and universal acceptance. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Interact, we accept it all. Charitable and nonprofit is now, instead of having one person accepting payment, digital payment, you can have a fleet of 10 or 20 out there accepting. So you're going to see collections go up quite rapidly. Real-time tracking and reporting, this works well not only in the charitable and nonprofit space, but the event space. I'm a little tired because I've been at a trade show all day of the Canadian special events planners, and they absolutely loved it. We walked them through an experience where you could tap for entry. You walk through the turnstile, because as soon as you tap, the unit actually releases the turnstile. Then you want to check your coat, you tap to pay for your coat check. You don't have to run down the street to go to the ABM to get $5 to pay for your coat check. If you want popcorn, you want parking, you want to tip the valet, or even if you want to give to the charity at the end of the event, you can do that now with TipTap. Community economy, this is when it's getting tap payments and digital payments in the hands of those that typically couldn't have it. So can you imagine on your local street going up to your lemonade stand for that 10-year-old and actually being able to tap to pay for that lemonade? You will be able to soon. Why we're different, we have a lot of people look at our device and they think, well, it's just like a square or something like that. Well, obviously the price is substantially lower. The speed of the product in the taps is extremely quick. You don't have to go back to a permanent device or to a mobile device and have that as well. It's an easy setup process. You can fully track it through the app on the receiver's side. On the giver's side, or the person paying, you just use your current credit card. You use your current mobile wallet. You don't have to change your habits at all. And we actually do the deposits same day. So we've acquired a company by the name of Pungle, and they do real-time settlement. So what we're able to do is we're actually able to get the payments into the charity, into the fundraising, or into the business's account the same day. Not individual payments. We don't do like $2, $2, $2, $2. We wait till the end of the day, and then we put in, $200, hopefully. Our revenue model, we make revenue in 3 ways. First, based off of the unit sales. If we sell them, we actually don't make a ton of money. But if we rent them and lease them, we make more. Actually 4 times and 8 times more if we go that route. Transaction revenues, it maxes at 5%. Now that might seem a lot, but typically credit card rates are 3.25%. If you're in the charity space, you're paying 4.5%. And that's because the systems that are out there are extremely expensive. We actually take that away and bring that down to whatever the charity level is that they're getting, tying in with Moneris, tying in with any of the other payment providers that they're using. And then there's additional services, in-app services, where you can actually sit at home and watch your event and see how many people are going into CodeCheck and how many people have bought popcorn and how many beers are going through. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I don't know if we'll add that audio, but we might. And we're going to grow, and we're going to grow quickly. We've already had interest in Australia, the UK, India, the Lions Club, Ronald McDonald's House, Tim Hortons, a number of others. So you can see we've already gone through a lot of the process. We've got our proof of concept, we've created the prototypes, we've done pilot tests, and now we're looking to do our public launch. So we're on track to launch to the public in June with some major partners, which I may have already mentioned. We're looking to break even only at 30,000 units. Let me give you an idea about that, but I'll do that in one more slide about how 30,000 units is happening. And quickly, we'll get to 550,000 units in Canada. Imagine what we could do globally. 550,000 units in Canada is 1% of our attainable market. And you can see we actually do make pretty good money, but we make the least on charities and fundraising, and we make the most on enterprise. An example of who we've been doing pilot tests with and the the traction we've gotten so far. A lot of good groups there, and it's growing. It's growing beyond these major charities. Girl Guides alone, there's 120,000 Girl Guides. Can you imagine them this fall with $5 units coming to your door and saying, can I sell you some Girl Guide cookies? Sorry, I don't have any change in the house. That's okay, we accept tap payment. Well, I'm thinking a lot of you are gonna be buying Girl Guide cookies this fall. Beyond that, there's commercial groups, large commercial groups that do facility work as well that we're working with. So there's a ton of commercial opportunities. And I think I'm probably out of time, but let me leave you with this as the potential, and maybe I'll skip 2 more and leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Who wants to jump in? All right.
Excellent presentation. Finally, some numbers. So, accountants, we love those numbers. A couple of comments. One, I would be a little concerned maybe on the security side. You talk about the numbers and whatnot, and they're excellent and they look good. And I know that is something definitely that not-for-profits could use for sure. And then the other comment I would like to make to you is also, I don't know if you're aware, but Israel has gone now no cash payments only transactions, so something to keep in mind.
Canada's pretty close.
Thank you. Great presentation. I think it's an issue that we've all kind of thought of in the background to some extent. And I know it always comes home to me when I'm downtown Toronto and there's somebody homeless and, they're reaching out their hand. And I know that there's no cash in my wallet. There's no coins. There aren't even dollar bills in there half the time, right? And to be able to, I think, be charitable again is going to be a big thing for a lot of us. And I think you're going to just open up a whole new world for charities. I think it's phenomenal. What about your competition? I know you can't answer questions. But yeah, I mean, I think you got to, just grow your network with charities and get some industry partners on board too. But all the best to you. Good luck. You're doing a service to us all.
Great presentation. I think one of my comments was just slid right under my feet. Security is a real big issue from my point of view. I speak from experience. My fob was hacked and my car was stolen just a couple of weeks ago. So that's one thing that I would really hone in on and gaining the acceptance from the target market as, yes, I like the convenience, but I also want to be assured that everything is secure and safe. I really do like your 3 streams of revenues. One thing that I wasn't clear on, the 5% transaction fee, how does that really compare to the market trends? I see these transaction fees actually dropping as we move forward. And so you have to sort of present a compelling case as to why 5% would be an acceptable rate that consumers would want to pay for. But I love the concept. I love your colors too. The orange, it's cool, matches with your whole outfit, so good job.
Perfect, thank you. I'll give it test. Test. Yeah, you might have to, so you can try this one. See if it works. Sorry, it's the battery's done.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah.
It's only for the audio. Hands up if you want a question. Here you go.
Yeah, great presentation, great need you're filling. I'm using the reverse model and wondering how this might work for homeless people or those that currently, I think it's about 30% don't have bank accounts. So a cashless society, we're not there yet for that group. So what that might look like. And then secondly, around the privacy, how will this work with the general data protection regulation in Europe?
Sure, I couldn't have planted 2 better questions. So we don't actually know each other, just so it's clear. But from the homeless standpoint, it's something that if you walk downtown Toronto, you see thousands of people walking by these poor people on the street, and it gets you. And I think that got us. So what we actually have is the Kitchener-Waterloo Foundation. We're part of the Communitech program and OCE, but as part of that, we were introduced to the Kitchener-Waterloo Foundation, and they're leading a program to abolish homelessness, and that's actually how it's said, in Kitchener-Waterloo by 2020. So typically people don't want to put their cards or their phones close to a homeless person. So how do you go about that? Well, you go about helping those that help them. So what we're doing with the Kitchener-Waterloo Foundation, and we've duplicated a similar program that we presented to the Mayor of Toronto, is we actually have places around the city where you can tap to help to abolish homelessness in your area. So you can walk by that guy on the street that you don't want to give change or cash to because you don't know exactly how that's going to be used. But you can walk a couple more steps and tap that billboard or tap that sign or tap that countertop unit to help the homeless in your community. From a security standpoint, I'm really glad all you guys asked that because we are EMV Co, PCI, these probably won't mean any UL, probably won't mean anything to you guys. but we're fully secure. We actually, on the unit, is the dollar amount, the device number, and the custom number is fixed into the chip, and it cannot be hacked or changed. We have 8 levels of tamper-proof security. We actually have injected the units with a bonding agent that if you pull it apart, it rips the technology apart. And you can't update the firmware. So you can't adjust it. So the device is fully secure, fully compliant, Visa, MasterCard, Interact, quote, Interact. I love this idea. From also a security standpoint, is that security also does tie back to our server because the amount, the customer number, and the device number has to match our ledger that's on our server. So with those matching, you can't tamper on the hardware or on the software. We did some early pilots the end of last year, and we were concerned with consumer acceptance and their concern with security. But what we found was that it's become so habitual in Canada just to tap and go. We were doing street intercepts with a charity that wasn't even in the same neighborhood, and people were happy to come up and tap to give $2 to that charity. So the guy that was collecting is the nicest guy in the world, so that might have had something to do with it, but yeah.
I just had a question here actually too. Yeah, I thought a great presentation, awesome idea. I think you somewhat actually answered this in the answer you just gave, but how easy is it to change the increment of the donation?
You can't. So, we had the same questions from the charities and fundraising groups, and they're like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? And we're like, nope, nope, nope. And then they came back to us and they said, you know what? We love the simplicity of it. You guys do one thing really well. What you see is what you pay. You tap, you know that's what's coming, you know where it's going to. And they actually like the simplicity of it. So if you want multiple units, you can buy a $2, $5, $10, $20. That's going to cost you $80, which is the same price as one square. The difference is with ours, you don't have to buy the $600 smartphone to go with it. Ours works completely independent of smartphones. It works through the cellular network with a new IoT technology.
Got a couple of quick questions here. Could you tell us a bit about the software and hardware model that you have? Like, do you have partnerships? Do you do it all in-house? And then the second question is around your collaboration model with Visa and MasterCard, if there is one.
Sure. 2 other really good questions. So from our entire app system is being developed in partnership with a company by the name of TribalScale. They've invested $250,000 in us, their venture fund. And part of that is we're paying $250,000, they're doing $250,000, and that's to develop our app. The reason we chose them is because we need to be able to scale. We need to be able to transact 1 million transactions a day on this. That's why we chose them. The other reason we chose them is because they've worked with every major financial institution and every major media company in North America. So yes, we do outsource some of the development. The other side of the development, which is the payment processing, that's Pungo. That's why we brought them into the fold. So we have a CTO and a chief strategy officer that's led Moneris. They've led the acquiring division of Home Trust, that kind of area. And your second question? Oh, with Visa and MasterCard, we're working with all of them very, very closely. So Visa Ventures is considering us. We're now in front of the San Francisco group. MasterCard, I used to run a fintech incubator, and MasterCard was a close partner. They're still a close partner. The nice thing with MasterCard, Visa, and Interact is they haven't seen anything like this. They love the solution, they love the social aspect of it, and they all want to be a part of it. So including co-marketing that we might be able to do with them. So, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. We're going to have to edit there, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job. Those were some great pitches. So the last thing is, how many people are you guys are startups? New startups? Couple startups? All right, that's good. Well, mostly they're ones that have pitched, which is good. And we like to ask this because we always like to do a 30-second spot, but it seems most of you have already pitched, so we won't go to that, which is okay as well. So how about we put up a big hand for the startups that pitched today, because they did a great job. Oh, well, we're going to have one 30-second spot. Let's do this. All right, you're up. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No problem. Go. Hi, my name is Heather. I am Vice President of Enactus Durham College, and we are hoping to start a new project called Project Mo. It is a self-powered mobile water filtration system for communities in need and disaster relief. So what we're doing is we are modifying a bus with solar panels and a filtration system to go out there and give clean water to the people who need it. We have several sponsors and partners on the project already. We have reduced the project cost by 73%, and we're looking for a bus or a shipping container or a spot to build it, and just mentorship and sponsorship to get the project up and going.
And your name is?
I am Heather Brown.
Thank you, Heather. Awesome, awesome. Oh, there's one more. All right, bring it on up. Well, you got 30 seconds, so you better get it out quick.
Okay, so I'm not introducing myself. Okay, so my objectives. So in India, every day, 2 farmers commit suicide. We need to take care of that, right? So my objective is to make every community a data-driven community. Along with that, to develop the skill sets of the local talent and generate the employment. And finally, generating the revenues. How I am going to do it? Knowledge Hub. Knowledge Hub will empower the students and youth of that local community where we are going to develop it. Next is employment. We will generate the employment by pulling in the local businesses, providing them the solutions of software solutions.
And your name is?
Arpit.
Awesome.
Along with that,
thank you. That was a lot of work. Perfect. Thank you very much. Come on up. Where's your prop? Do you have a prop?
No.
Ah, that's pretty good. That's the first time we've had a prop. All right, here we go.
Okay, I thought the competition was. My name is Maman. I am the CEO and founder of Dapta Data App. And what we do is if you're unable to find someone to go to an event with, let's say you want to go to a festival, a party, anything, but you just can't find anyone that would want to go with you, what we do is we have built an app that allows you to find users in your area that will go to the event with you. So we found that this marketplace is huge, and my background is I am a social worker. I have my master's in social work, and I have, sorry, I've never pitched before. So
your name is?
My name is Maman.
Awesome. Thank you. And you get to stay up here for 1 second, because I'm going to ask you to do a quick draw for us.
A new business, and so we're just trying to build up our user base, and then we will be selling tickets so that our users could just easily access that once they find someone to go.
Might want to talk to these guys. All right, here we go. This is for the draw for Friday night's TFC game. Oh, no, I can't. No look. No look.
It is Anushka from Ganoradana.
Oh, I had to leave?
Oh.
We'll have to redraw.
It is Rachel E.
Oh, they're a couple. It's a couple one. That's Gracie. All right.
Okay. Jung and Associates. All right.
Awesome. Thank you much for your help. Jung, here you go, buddy. 1 sec. Gonna pull my pocket here.
Oh, thank you.
All right, you're going to the TFC game. Good job, buddy.
Thank you. This is my
Thanks for
second
coming.
time. So the first one was the water. So
Oh, you keep winning. Yeah, that's right. It's a lucky guy here.
maybe you could sell the ticket though. No beer in here. We don't let people sell.
Well, I want to thank all the startups for coming out tonight. You guys did a great job. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much to the Angels and business associates and for coming out and giving us your feedback. It was very valuable. I believe everybody learned something today. And I thank all of you guys for coming out. As I mentioned before, we have our next event is on the 23rd of April. If you're interested in coming, go to opn.ninja to sign up. It's at Seneca College. If you would like to pitch, certainly reach out to us as well. And thank you very much to Jason as our sponsor. Thank you. Lindsay at Durham College. I'm not sure where she is. Oh, there she is right there. Thank you very much. And I guess the last thank yous for all you guys for coming out, and we appreciate your support, and thank you very much again. Have an awesome night. In the back, you have beer for as much as you need, I guess. But he'll take care of you in the back. And there's other startups around the outside you guys can check out as well, so please walk around and talk with the startups. And we do have pizza in the back for everybody who is famished, so please make your way to the back and grab yourself a drink and some pizza. Thank you very much. Have a great night, guys.